For more than 500 years, two books have influenced rulers, generals, politicians, and strategists across the world. One emerged from the battlefields and political intrigues of Renaissance Italy. The other came from the warring states of ancient China. Although separated by nearly 2,000 years and thousands of miles, Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince and Sun Tzu's The Art of War ask the same question. How does one acquire and maintain power? At first glance, the two authors appear remarkably similar. Both reject idealism, both believe leaders must confront reality as it truly exists rather than how they wish it to be. Both understand that survival often depends on difficult choices. Yet beneath these similarities lies a profound disagreement about the nature of power itself. For Machiavelli, power begins with the ruler. The prince must become the central force holding the state together. His authority, determination, and willingness to act decisively shape the destiny of nations. In a dangerous world filled with rivals, conspiracies, and ambitious enemies, hesitation becomes fatal. Machiavelli argues that rulers must be prepared to use deception, force, and even cruelty when necessary to secure the stability of the state. The survival of the nation outweighs personal morality. Sun Tzu approaches power from an entirely different direction. Instead of focusing on the ruler's direct will, he focuses on systems, environments, and conditions. Victory comes not from overwhelming force, but from understanding. The greatest commander wins before the battle begins. He manipulates circumstances so effectively that conflict becomes unnecessary. Where Machiavelli sees strength in decisive action, Sun Tzu sees strength in preparation and anticipation. This difference reveals two competing visions of strategy. Machiavelli imagines a ruler standing at the center of events, imposing order through calculated authority. Sun Tzu imagines a strategist moving with the currents of circumstance, guiding outcomes without direct confrontation. One seeks control, the other seeks influence. The contrast becomes even clearer when examining expansion. For Machiavelli, external conquest depends first upon internal stability. A divided state cannot project power abroad. Before expanding territory, a ruler must eliminate threats at home, secure loyalty, and maintain political order. Every successful empire begins with domestic control. Sun Tzu, however, emphasizes environmental awareness. Geography, weather, terrain, morale, intelligence, and timing all determine outcomes. A commander who understands these factors can achieve victory while conserving resources. Rather than crushing an opponent through brute force, he manipulates perceptions and expectations until resistance collapses. In many ways, The Prince is a handbook for governing power, while The Art of War is a handbook for shaping reality itself. For more than 5 centuries, two books have stood above nearly every other work ever written on power, leadership, and strategy. One was written amid the political chaos of Renaissance Italy. The other emerged from the battlefields of ancient China. One was written by Niccolò Machiavelli, a diplomat who witnessed betrayal, invasions, conspiracies, and the collapse of governments. The other was written by Sun Tzu, a military strategist whose teachings would survive for more than 2,000 years. Their books, The Prince and the Art of War, continue to influence presidents, generals, intelligence agencies, military academies, business leaders, and political strategists around the world. Yet despite their shared reputation as masters of strategy, they offer remarkably different visions of how power works. At the heart of their disagreement lies a simple question: what is the most effective way to achieve victory? For Machiavelli, power begins with control. For Sun Tzu, power begins with understanding. This distinction may sound subtle, but it has shaped centuries of warfare, diplomacy, and statecraft. To understand Machiavelli, we must first understand the world in which he lived. Italy during the late 15th and early 16th centuries was not a unified nation. Instead, it was a collection of competing city-states, including Florence, Venice, Milan, Naples, and the Papal States. Foreign powers such as France, Spain, and the Holy Roman Empire constantly intervened in Italian affairs. Alliances shifted rapidly. Governments rose and fell. Assassinations, betrayals, and political intrigues were common. In such an environment, idealism was often a luxury that leaders could not afford. Machiavelli observed this chaos firsthand. He watched ambitious rulers gain power through force, deception, and political calculation. He saw weak leaders lose everything because they hesitated when decisive action was required. Over time, he reached a conclusion that shocked many readers. The world is not governed by morality alone. Meanwhile, Sun Tzu's influence expanded throughout East Asia and eventually the entire world. Military academies studied his principles. Business leaders applied his ideas to competition. Intelligence agencies incorporated his emphasis on information and deception. Modern strategists discovered that many of his insights remained relevant despite advances in technology. What makes this comparison so fascinating is that neither thinker is entirely right nor entirely wrong. History contains examples supporting both approaches. Some leaders succeeded through decisive action and ruthless pragmatism. Others triumphed through patience, intelligence, and strategic manipulation. Some empires were built through strength. Others expanded through influence. Perhaps the greatest lesson from these two books is that power itself is more complex than most people imagine. It cannot be reduced to military force alone. It involves psychology, perception, institutions, intelligence, culture, economics, and leadership. Machiavelli and Sun Tzu each illuminate different parts of this larger picture. As we continue our journey through these two masterpieces, we will see how their competing visions shaped armies, governments, empires, and modern nations. We will examine why European rulers often embraced direct confrontation while Eastern strategists favored flexibility. We will explore how their ideas influenced some of history's most famous leaders. And ultimately, we will ask a question that remains relevant even today. If Machiavelli and Sun Tzu were advising world leaders in the 21st century, whose strategy would prove more effective? The answer may reveal more about our modern world than either author could ever have imagined. The Europe of Machiavelli's time was a continent of competing kingdoms, city-states, dynasties, and military campaigns. Political legitimacy often depended upon visible displays of strength. Rulers demonstrated authority through decisive victories. Military success reinforced political power. As a result, European warfare frequently emphasized direct confrontation. Armies met on battlefields. Victories were public. Defeated enemies were expected to acknowledge the superiority of the victor. Conflict became both a military and political spectacle. Machiavelli accepted this reality. In his view, conflict was not an exception, but a permanent feature of political life. Human beings were ambitious, self-interested, and often unreliable. Competition between states was inevitable. A ruler who ignored this fact endangered his nation. Peace existed only because someone possessed the strength to enforce it. Sun Tzu viewed warfare differently. Every battle carried enormous costs. Resources were consumed, soldiers died, economies weakened. Even victorious campaigns could leave nations exhausted. Therefore, the supreme achievement was not winning battles, but avoiding them entirely. Victory should be obtained through intelligence, deception, diplomacy, and strategic positioning whenever possible. This philosophy produced a radically different vision of military organization. Renaissance armies often relied on rigid formations and structured maneuvers. Discipline and order created strength. Sun Tzu compared effective strategy to water. Water adapts to its environment. It flows around obstacles. It changes shape without losing its nature. Successful commanders should behave similarly. This flexibility allowed Eastern military thought to emphasize adaptation over rigidity. Plans changed according to circumstances. Commanders adjusted to unexpected developments. The battlefield became a living system rather than a fixed contest. The distinction remains relevant today. One tradition seeks to dominate events through force. The other seeks to guide events through adaptability. Both approaches have achieved extraordinary successes throughout history. Beyond philosophy and battlefield tactics lies a more practical question. How does a state sustain power over time? Machiavelli places enormous importance on national loyalty. He distrusted mercenaries and foreign troops. Citizen militias, he argued, possess a deeper commitment to the survival of the state. Citizens fight not merely for payment, but for their homes, families, and future. A ruler who relies upon his own people builds a stronger foundation for long-term stability. This emphasis on loyalty extends beyond military affairs. Internal security remains the cornerstone of Machiavellian statecraft. Rebellions, conspiracies, and political fragmentation threaten the state from within. Therefore, rulers must cultivate obedience, discourage dissent, and maintain authority. Perhaps the most famous principle in The Prince concerns fear and love. Machiavelli asks whether it is better for a ruler to be loved or feared. His answer is clear. Ideally, a ruler should be both. However, if forced to choose, fear provides greater security because it depends less upon the unpredictable emotions of the population. Sun Tzu adopts a strikingly different perspective. He argues that commanders should treat soldiers like beloved sons. Trust creates cohesion. Cohesion creates discipline. Discipline creates effectiveness. Soldiers who believe their leaders care for them fight with greater commitment and resilience. Logistics also reveal important differences. European campaigns often relied on established supply systems and territorial control. Eastern doctrine emphasized speed, mobility, and living off the land when possible. Rapid movement reduced economic burdens and increased operational flexibility. These contrasting approaches reflect deeper assumptions about human behavior. Machiavelli prioritizes control. Sun Tzu prioritizes alignment. One secures obedience, the other cultivates commitment. Although centuries have passed since these books were written, their influence remains visible in modern geopolitics. Today's leaders operate in a world of cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, economic competition, information campaigns, and global media networks. Yet the fundamental challenges remain surprisingly familiar. Machiavelli's realism appears whenever governments prioritize national security, maintain internal stability, and make difficult decisions in pursuit of strategic objectives. His influence can be seen in power politics, diplomatic negotiations, and the management of domestic institutions. Sun Tzu's influence appears in information warfare, cyber operations, intelligence gathering, psychological campaigns, and strategic communication. Modern conflicts increasingly revolve around perception rather than direct confrontation. Winning hearts, minds, and narratives often proves more valuable than winning territory. The most effective leaders rarely follow one doctrine exclusively. Instead, they combine both traditions. They maintain internal stability while shaping external perceptions. They project strength while avoiding unnecessary conflict. They understand the value of force but recognize the power of information. This synthesis may represent the ultimate evolution of strategy. Machiavelli teaches leaders how to secure the state. Sun Tzu teaches leaders how to shape the environment. Together, they offer a framework that balances authority with adaptability, realism with flexibility, and power with intelligence. If the Prince teaches us how to rule and the art of war teaches us how to win, then the modern strategist must learn to do both simultaneously. The future belongs not to those who choose between Machiavelli and Sun Tzu, but to those who understand how to combine them.